Take care, my dear, for I have reason to expect an addition to our family party.
Mr. Bingley! Oh, why, Jane never dropped the one! Oh, Kitty, ring the bell! I will
It
see
is
what
not
you can
Mr. Bingley. It is my cousin, Mr. Collins, a person whom I've never met. Though when I am dead, he may turn you all out of this house as soon as he pleases.
I cannot bear to hear the name mentioned.
You must bear it, Mrs. Bennet, for he wrote some 3 weeks ago.
Dear sir, having received ordination, and having been so fortunate as to be distinguished by the patronage of the Right Honourable Lady Catherine de Bourgh, I feel it is my duty as a clergyman to establish peace within our 2 families. On these grounds, I hope that my being next in the entail of Longbourn will not lead you to reject this olive branch. I cannot help but be concerned at being the means of injuring your amiable daughters once you are dead, and beg leave to apologize for it, and to make them every possible amends.
At 2 o'clock, therefore, we may expect this eloquent, peacekeeping gentleman.
In point of composition, his letter does not seem defective. The idea of the olive branch is not wholly new, yet I think it is well expressed.
There, Mrs. Bennet, are you satisfied?
If, under the patronage of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, your cousin is in a position to remedy the dreadful entail and make amends to the girls, I shall not be the person to discourage him.
I cannot make him out. Once you are dead, and what can you mean for apologizing for being next in the entail? Can this be a sensible man, Papa?
Oh, no, my dear, I think not. I have great hopes of finding him quite the reverse. And here he is at the 2 o'clock exactly, punctual to his time.
Good cousin, dear Mrs. Bennet, you are to be commended on keeping such happy lodgings here at Longbourn.
Lodgings, sir?
I confess I never saw sweeter arrangements. Why, I am much struck by the furniture and the size of this apartment. It reminds me very much of a small summer breakfast parlor at Rosings Park.
Breakfast parlor?
Indeed, why, oh, my dear Mrs. Bennet, I am mortified that you should take for a friend my observation. I assure you, Rosings Park, the home of my most esteemed patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, is very grand indeed. Why, the chimney piece at Rosings alone costs £800.
800 pounds, dear boy. Is that so? My, could we be more fortunate in our guest? Do you think, Lizzie?
Indeed you could not, though I take no credit myself. I owe such good fortune entirely to Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Why, she has asked me to dine twice already at Rosings, and has been so kind as to approve of my first 2 sermons at my new parish.
How very kind of her.
And has deigned to approve of all the alterations I have made to the parsonage, even venturing to suggest that I install shelves in the closets upstairs. Is that not a most clever idea, Mr. Bennet?
Shelves! In the closets! My dear, have we ever gotten on with such dazzling inventiveness?
Mr. Collins, do not...
Oh, of course, how impertinent of me. This must be your fine family of daughters. Permit me to say, Mrs. Bennet, that while I've heard much of their beauty, fame has fallen short of the truth.
What a generous compliment.
I am pleased you think so. I am happy on every occasion to offer those little delicate compliments which are always acceptable to ladies.
I say, it is fortunate that you possess the talent of flattering with such delicacy. May I ask whether it proceeds from the impulse of the moment, or is it the result of previous study?
Chiefly they arise from the moment, Mr. Bennet, though I do sometimes compose little elegant arrangements which may be adapted to suit a variety of occasions. Observe. Mrs. Bennet, your warm eyes remind me of the great fires that purged Sodom and Gomorrah.
Delightful! Everything I looked for, Lizzie! Well, might I suggest that you seize the opportunity of inviting Mr. Collins on your walk into Meryton, so that he may become better acquainted with our little village.
Will you not join us, Papa?
Oh, no, my dear, for I confess I can think of nothing else save for the enchanting possibility of installing shelves in our own closets. My dears, please excuse me.
Bennet, I beg that you do not suspicion any hint of offense just now in my wishing to see your daughter soon married.
No, of course not. I'm sure you are sincere, for I wish the same good fortune I'll say and destitute.
You allude perhaps to the fate of your husband's estate.
Did I do, sir? It's grievous for my poor girls to have their father's money entailed away from them.
I assure you, madam, I am very sensible to the hardships of my fair cousins. It is, in fact, my reason for seeking this meeting at Longbourn. You see, my patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, advised me most splendidly. During my last visit to Rosings, she said,
Mr. Collins, you must marry. Choose properly. Let her be an active, useful sort of person. Not brought up high, but able to make a small income go a good way. If you can find such a woman, bring her to Huntsford Parsonage, and I will visit her to give my approval.
Now allow me to say, Mrs. Bennet, that I take Lady Catherine de Bourgh's generous condescension as among the best of the advantages in my power to offer to your daughters. For who else?
Mr. Collins, am I to understand that your plans to make amends for the state of the entail is to marry one of my daughters?
Why, of course. Oh dear, did I not speak plainly? I do so hope to always be succinct.
Mr. Collins!
I thought it an excellent plan, and her ladyship quite agreed. So I came to Longbourn seeking to choose one of your daughters, if, of course, I found them as beautiful as they are commonly reported. And upon seeing them, madam, I am decided. The, eldest girl.
Jane?
A lovely choice, unequaled beauty, and I think in the interest of seniority, don't you agree?
Your taste does you credit, sir. However, I must tell you that we suspect Jane to be very soon engaged to Mr. Bingley of Netherfield.
Oh.
But, if I may suggest,
Second one.
yes, second to Jane only in birth and beauty.
Done.
Mamma, it seems, is stirring the fire. For the man she could not bear to speak of earlier today is now her dearest companion. The nature of the lady's scheme? I can hardly guess. Though I have my suspicions. These cares will fade, however, for we have at last arrived in Meryton, and Captain Denny is introducing us to...
My good friend George Wickham. At your service, my ladies.
Why, Denny, where have you been hiding so? All the man from our acquaintance.
Denny is introducing us to dance partner Lydia.
No, indeed, Miss Bennet. I assure you, Wickham is arrived from town.
From London, sir?
Indeed.
'Tis a pity he doesn't follow in the offices of his friends, is it not, Kitty? But you would look so much more handsome in red coat.
I, the Denny and Carter can welcome him with saber strong.
Kitty, please. Mr. Wickham, do excuse my younger sister's impertinence. They have eyes for little else besides men of the regiment these days.
Not at all. In fact, your sisters will soon have their wish. I just this morning accepted a commission into the officer corps.
There, you see, Lydia, he'll be a soldier after all.
Perhaps you all might show Mr. Collins, the lay of the shop.
Missy!
He does so wish to become acquainted with Meryton.
Miss Elizabeth, you are very generous in your attentions to me. I promise I'll not be gone from your side a moment longer than necessary.
Do take your time, Mr. Collins.
Mr. Collins is a quite courteous fellow, Miss Bennet. Is he not the new vicar at Huntsford Parsonage?
Yes. Are you familiar with it?
Only with its benefactress.
Not Lady Catherine de Bourgh!
Yes, are you acquainted?
Oh, heavens no. Though I believe we will soon have a fill of her influence through our esteemed guest. Forgive my rudeness, Mr. Wickham. I believe we've all made a rather ridiculous first impression.
Nothing of the kind. I find your relations to be quite charming. And believe me, Miss Elizabeth, I consider myself fortunate to have been both raised in privilege and reduced to poverty. Though hard, my life has afforded me the desire to make friends based on merits of their own character rather than those of their relations.
Can such such a man truly exist?
Look, Jane, it's Mr. Bingley.
How fortuitous. We were just on our way to Longbourn to inquire about your health, Miss Bennet.
What do you find?
Are you quite recovered from the ordeal, Jane? Miss Bennet? I confess it warms my heart to see you. You certainly wouldn't be out this country air when you're not feeling quite well.
Well,
Oh, there now, Jane, you see? How attentive is your friend? Mr. Bingley, do allow me to introduce Mr. Bennet's cousin and our friend, Mr. Collins.
Miss Bennet, I hope that you...
Mr. Darcy.
extraordinary.
I'm afraid, Miss Elizabeth, they cannot possibly have escaped your notice that very cold meeting just now.
Indeed, I would not wish to pry, but
Are you much acquainted with Mr. Darcy?
as much as I ever wish to be, I've spent 6 days in the same house as him. Far too long with such a disagreeable person.
I have no right to give my opinion. I have known Darcy too long to be a fair judge. Has Mr. Darcy been in Hertfordshire long?
About a month.
And is he much thought of?
Mr. Wickham, he is not at all liked in hardly any house save in Netherfield. Everybody is disgusted with his pride.
I cannot pretend to be sorry to hear. I have been a disappointed man, Miss Bennet. A military life is not what I was intended for. Mr. Darcy has done me a terrible disservice.
Lizzie, Mr. Bingley has named the day of the ball. We are all invited to Netherfield next Tuesday. And he's invited all the officers, Mr. Wickham. We do hope to see you there.
You may depend upon it, Miss Bennet.
Do you dance, Mr. Wickham?
Most readily.
There, Daddy, you see, you will have a rival after all.
Going to outshine us then, eh, Wickham?
Mr. Bingley, we are very favored with your personal invitation. And how generous of you to include Mr. Collins as well. Is he not, Lizzie?
Indeed, Mamma. But I wanted that you should not dread a rebuke from the Archbishop, sir. Is it appropriate for a clergyman to attend a ball?
I thank you most exceedingly for your selfish consideration, but I feel that a ball given by a young man of character can have no evil tendency.
But would Lady Catherine approve?
Dearest cousin, I am so far from objecting to dancing myself that I hope to be honored with the hands of all my fair cousins. In fact, I take this opportunity of soliciting yours, Miss Elizabeth, for the first 2 dances.
Promised to Mr. Collins by my own mother. I had so dearly wished to have been engaged by Mr. Wickham for those 2 dances. I dare say the thought entered my mind as rapidly as it would have Lydia's. Everything he said was agreeable. Such a man has an ease of expression. Why, even the dullest topic he rendered interesting. And in the days leading up to the Netherfield ball, my thoughts of dancing a great deal with Mr. Wickham was surpassed only by my desire to learn what terrible disservice had been wrought up upon him by Mr. Darcy.
Miss Bennet, I thank you most emphatically for the dance.
It was my pleasure, Mr. Collins.
I dare say we were excellently matched on the floor.
Quite, though I believe...
My dear cousin, I fear I may seem brash, but might I
Miss
entreat-
Elizabeth, would you favor me with your hand for the next 2 dances?
Thank you, Mr. Wickham. I would be delighted. Excuse me, Mr. Collins. Thank you.
I must confess, the gesture is wholly selfish. I have been hoping for a dance with you since our walk together in Meryton.
Because I've been hoping for the chance to speak with you.
Forgive me, Miss Elizabeth. You are both charming and transparent. You're no doubt curious as to the nature of my acquaintance with Mr. Darcy.
I confess I've thought of little else. It is impossible to imagine just how he's been the means of your ruin.
He's not always been bad. You see, my father had the management of old Mr. Darcy's estate.
His steward?
Precisely. Darcy and I grew up together. I dare say we were once as brothers. This surprises you.
How can it not?
His father, the late Mr. Darcy, was my godfather, and upon my father's death, promised to provide for me. He intended me for the church and meant to provide me a parish and a living as soon as it became available.
And did he?
No, he died before one became vacant. Upon his father's death, young Darcy ignored his father's wishes and in time gave the living which I ought to have had to another man. I was left penniless.
Good heavens! How can Mr. Darcy dishonor his own father's will?
There was such informality in the terms of it, the law was not in my favor.
This is most shocking. He deserves to be publicly disgraced.
In time he will be, but not by me. Till I can forget the father, I can neither expose or defy the son.
I had not thought Mr. Darcy so bad as this. What could have induced him to behave so cruelly?
I believe Darcy grew jealous. You see, his father was uncommonly attached to me, though I was but the poor sonly steward. Had the late Mr. Darcy liked me less, his son might have borne better with me.
Such malicious revenge. Such injustice. I wonder now at his intimacy with Mr. Bingley, who seems so amiable. He cannot know who Mr. Darcy is.
Probably not. Mr. Darcy can please where he chooses. Among those he considers equal, he is a very different man.
Excuse me, Miss Elizabeth, but my eyes were worth Wickham.
Ah, Miss Eliza, your sister has been telling me how much you favor George Wickham. Though I'm sure he failed to mention he's the son of old Wickham, the late Mr. Darcy's overseer.
Yes, he informed me of that himself.
Did he? Well, let me advise you, as a friend. Do not trust in all his assertions. I do not know the particulars, but I do know George Wickham treated Mr. Darcy in the most infamous manner.
Has he?
I pity you, Miss Eliza, for this discovery of your favorite skills. But really, considering his lineage, one cannot expect much better.
His skills and his lineage appear by your account to be the same. You accuse him of nothing worse than being the son of Mr. Darcy's steward, a relation he proudly acknowledged.
I beg your pardon. My interference was kindly meant.
I regret that I have been obliged to go to town on urgent business. I must painfully withdraw my invitation to dance.
Why?
I'm sorry, Miss Elizabeth, but I do not imagine his business would have called him away just now if not for a certain gentleman.
Charlotte, I have much to tell you.
We have been most highly gratified, my dear sir. Such superior dancing is not often seen. It is evident that you belong to the highest of society.
Thank you, Lady Lucas.
And might I say that your fair partner, Miss Bingley, did not disappoint? And I must have the pleasure often repeated, especially when a certain desirable event should take place.
Such a well-suited match, wouldn't you agree? Well, congratulations will then flow in.
How astonishing for Mr. Wickham to indulge such unkindness. I wonder they may have both been deceived in some way. Perhaps there's some misrepresentation. Misrepresentation? How can you think of defending him? My dearest Lizzie, do you consider what disgraceful life such an event would place Mr. Darcy? To be treating his father's godson in such a way? It is impossible. No man so clearly values his character and reputation can be capable of it. And what of Mr. Bingley, whose most intimate friend was so deceived in him? I would more easily believe Mr. Bingley's being deceived than Mr. Wickham inventing such a history. It is difficult indeed, most distressing. One does not know what to think. I beg your pardon. One knows exactly what to think.
Miss Bennet, will you do me the honor of joining me for the next waltz?
Mr. Darcy, I can think of no doubt you're a simpleton, Lizzie. You clearly do not know the whole of it. Do not let your fancy for Wickham cause you to embarrass a man of 10 times his worth. Thank you. Yes. I do so enjoy this waltz. your turn to say something now, Mr. Darcy. I spoke in the dance. You are to remark on the sides of the room.
Do you talk by a rule then when you're dancing?
Usually, though we may arrange it so we may say as little as possible.
Do you seek to satisfy my feelings at present, or your own?
Both.
Do you often walk to Meryton with your sisters?
Quite often. When you met us the other day, we were forming a new acquaintance. Mr. Wickham.
Yes. George Wickham has the happy ability of making friends. Whether he's equally capable of keeping them is less certain.
It seems he has been unlucky to lose your friendship. I remember you once saying, Mr. Darcy, that you do not easily forget the faults of others. Are you very cautious then at first forming that resentment?
I am.
And to never allow yourself to be blinded by prejudice?
Certainly hope not. May I ask to what these questions tend?
Merely to the illustration of your character. I'm trying to make it out.
And what is the success?
I do not think on at all. I hear such different accounts of you puzzle me exceedingly.
May I ask that you not attempt to sketch my character at present?
But if I do not get your likeness now, I will never have another opportunity.
I by no means suspend any pleasure of yours. Good night, Miss Bennet.
Excellent man! And very soon it seemed that the Netherfield ball was to be the catalyst of the series of equally disappointing affairs to follow.
What is to become of us? What are we to do?
What is the matter?
Regiment, Mamma, let's leave in a fortnight.
Ah, yes! We're going to be encamped near Brighton for the whole summer!
Papa, if you go to Brighton on holiday.
Go to Brighton?
Oh yes, what a lovely idea.
You would not want to see us so miserable all summer, would you, Papa? And could have forced his wife with the signs on taking up sea bathing in Brighton.
You know, a little sea bathing would set me up forever.
Anything, eh? So you to that, Mary.
Though my sisters must be congenial with their generality of the female mind, I confess that sea bathing would have no charms for me. I should infinitely prefer uplook.
Bravo, my dear. For once I am in complete support of your delightful penchant for philosophy. Come, Mrs. Bennet. No, I have not the slightest intention of yielding. The regiment shall go to Brighton, and we shall remain here at Longbourn.
Poor Lydia, though her anguish is mild compared to that of dear Jane.
I received a letter from Miss Bingley. Oh, Lizzie, I am quite distressed. Mr. Bingley has left Netherfield, and Caroline writes that he has no intention of returning.
Impossible! And Jane, no one who has ever seen you together can doubt his affection.
But Caroline insists that he is in no hurry to return from London, and she goes as far as wishing us much joy for Christmas at Hertfordshire. It is evident by this that he intends to stay through winter at least.
It is only evident what Miss Bingley intends. It does not signify how he feels.
How can you be so sure? If Mr. Bingley truly had any desire to continue our acquaintance, would he not have visited Longbourn himself before departing?
Jane, your humility usually does you credit, but in this case it is your enemy. The truth is plain. Miss Bingley sees that her brother is in love with you, but to her we are not rich enough, and not grand enough. In this point of view, she and Mr. Darcy are as one. So she convinced him to leave Netherfield.
Lizzie, I do not believe Caroline could be so deceitful.
But
I know your disposition towards her, but I have not the capacity of indulging such fanciful ideas. It is plain in the writing. Mr. Bingley does not feel for me as I hoped.
Oh! Can no one, save for myself and Mr. Wickham, understand the true nature of proud, arrogant snobbery displayed by the likes of Caroline Bingley and Mr. Darcy? Still though, even Jane's news is nothing compared to the mortification I am about to endure.
Oh yes, I'm sure she will be very happy and can have no objection. There now, I shall leave you to some privacy.
Dear Mom, do not go. And Mr. Collins has nothing to say that anybody need not hear.
Nonsense, Lizzie. I desire that you remain. Mr. Collins wishes to speak alone.
Mom!
Lizzie, speak.
Believe me, my dear Miss Elizabeth, your modesty adds to your other perfections. You can hardly doubt the purpose of my desired discourse.
Mr. Collins.
Almost as soon as I entered the house, I singled you out as the companion of my future life. But before I run away with my feelings, I must state my reasons for marrying.
Mr. Collins, please understand.
First, it is a right thing for every clergyman to set the example of matrimony in his parish.
Quite right. However...
Second, that I am convinced it will add greatly to my happiness.
Sir, I beg of you.
And third, that it is the particular recommendation of Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Oh, she advised me most splendidly, Miss Elizabeth, and you can be assured to be favored with equal condescension once we are married. Just before my journey to Longbourn, she said.
Mr. Collins, you must marry. Choose properly. Let her be an
You are too hasty, sir. You forget that I have made no answer. I am honored by the compliment of your proposal, but it would be impossible to accept.
I know it is usual for young ladies to reject the addresses of the man they secretly mean to accept. When I do the honor of asking again, I do expect to hear a more favorable answer.
Upon my word, your expectation is extraordinary. I am perfectly serious in my refusal.
You flatter me, my dear cousin. I know my hand is worthy of your acceptance. And being that I am to inherit this estate after your father's death, and your own dowry is so small, it is unlikely that another offer of marriage will ever be made to you. I must attribute your rejection to your wish of increasing my love by suspense.
Mr. Collins, can I not speak plainer? I will not marry you!
You are uniformly charming.
Mr. Collins, do allow me to congratulate you on your engagement.
Thank you, Mrs. Bennet. I do believe to be engaged as soon as your elegant daughter consents to receive my hand.
She has not consented.
That's it. Though I have every reason to trust I will be satisfied, since her refusal naturally must flow from her bashful modesty and delicacy of character.
Bashful modesty? Lizzie? Mr. Bennet!
Madam?
Oh, depend upon it, Mr. Collins. Lizzie shall be brought to reason. Mr. Bennet!
Brought to reason?
She's a headstrong, foolish girl, but I will make her accept you.
Headstrong? Foolish? Do you mean to say that she actually rejected me?
Mr. Collins, I will go directly to Mr. Bennet, and we shall very soon settle this with her, I am sure.
Pardon me, but if she really is headstrong and foolish, perhaps she may not make a very appropriate wife to Lady Catherine, to me. Forgive me, but I am invited to dine this evening with Sir William and Lady Lucas. Perhaps it would be better to go there for the remainder of my stay.
No. Mr. Collins, please wait! Mr. Bennet, we are on, after all. You're still sleeping, Lizzie.
I have not the pleasure of understanding you. About what do you bluster, madam?
Mr. Collins and Lizzie. Lizzie declares she will not marry Mr. Collins, and now Mr. Collins begins to say he will not have Lizzie.
Let her be called in. She shall hear my opinion.
Lizzie! Come here, child!
My dear, you are summoned to a matter of grave importance. I understand that Mr. Collins has made you an offer of marriage. And this offer you have refused.
I have, sir.
And your mother insists upon your accepting it. Have I got it right, Mrs. Bennet?
Yes. or I will never see her again.
Very well. We now come to the point. An unhappy alternative is before you, Elizabeth. From this day on, you must be a stranger to one of your parents. Your mother will never see you again if you do not marry Mr. Collins. And I will never see you again if you do.